Welcome to another episode of Broken by Concept, episode 73. Welcome aboard. We're here. We're live.
Ready to tackle some League of
Ready
Legends
to go.
problems. Let's start with story time, Curtis.
Oh, here we go. Okay. Dive straight in.
A little bit of story, some story of good old Curtis and I's adventures back in our esports days.
Okay.
Explaining this jersey I'm wearing here.
Oh, yeah.
So this is from a Turkish team, Supermassive. So I'm going to take you guys back. It's 2018. We went to Germany for the MSI Mid-Season Invitational 2018. We were the number one team in our region. We won a grueling best-of-5 series. We reverse swept to get there versus the Chiefs. We boot camped in London. We went to Germany for MSI. We were in the LEC studios, which was really cool. That was really exciting.
That was cool. Yeah.
Last day of so our first day goes well. Our second day of the event doesn't go so well. This is the plane, so this is the first stage.
Yep.
It gets to the point where we know we can't make it out of our group, Supermassive, which was the team. They were just going to 100% make it out. I think they were 5-0. We were tied with Brazil at the time. Supermassive trolled the game by picking fun picks because they already made it out to the group, which meant Brazil got basically a free win. And then we were to play next. And if we were to win that game, and Brazil should have lost that game theoretically, because Supermassive, if they tried, they should have won. And then we would have had higher placing, and then we would have got more prize money.
Yeah,
right?
by far. Yeah.
I looked it up. It was only like $4,000 or whatever, but it's still something.
Well, it's like it impacts something.
Yeah, impacts something, right? And we were like, pretty upset about that, especially.
No, but didn't they do this 2 years in a row? I thought the context was that they did. Remember, Jono said that they did it in 2017 as well, didn't they?
Yeah, I think that it didn't matter though. Like this time, it mattered.
But they did it. They had done it in the past. They trolled, and it did impact the standings a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. I can't remember. Again, specifically the 2018
right.
MSI Berlin.
Yeah.
So, we're quite upset about that, all that sort of stuff.
Because you talk to the people. You talk to people in the teams when you're there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You sort of mingle a little bit. I mean, very small talk stuff.
Because it's like you're in like one hotel together.
Yeah.
So like all your rooms and training rooms are like right next to each other.
Yeah. So then Brazil places higher than us. This was Kaboom Esports, I think it was at the time. And then we get $5,000 less prize money.
Yep.
And then comes to Worlds. We qualify again. That was our split where we went completely undefeated. That was our best split ever. We think that's our best team.
Yep.
That was with King and Shern and Cupcake and Triple.
Yep.
And Biopanther. And then we get a knock on our door at the practice room. And then we see Supermassive there. I think it was just the manager, and was it a player as well?
I think it was. I can't remember.
I think you were there. Well, I wasn't there.
I remember it was the manager dude.
Yeah, I think.
I don't remember. I think it was just by himself.
Yeah, comes with us with a present, and we're like, "What's going on here?" We weren't expecting anything. We just thought that they didn't care about us. They're like they're Supermassive. They're like the best playing team.
And they were huge. They're a big org. Yeah, they were a massive org.
Like,
I mean, look at the sponsors on this thing, man. They got like
Turkish Airlines.
I mean, they got Nike, Coca-Cola, Carl's Jr. Yeah, Turkish Airlines. It's pretty insane.
So they come and then they have like a little letter for us, apologizing for what they did at the MSI, and then they gave us all these jerseys as presents.
They gave everyone jerseys, right?
Yeah. And like maybe, I think little plushies.
I think something else.
Like
it was something else. Was it a scarf or something?
Some scarves, yeah.
Scarves and some jerseys.
That's some interesting merch.
That was great.
And unfortunately, that didn't cover the $4,000 that we lost. It wasn't $4,000 worth of jerseys that we could resell. And they're really comfortable jerseys, and I wear them.
You've wore it for ever since.
Yeah.
Mine doesn't even fit me anymore.
Yeah, I don't think yours fits you. Yeah. And we got, so I actually I had like 6, I remember.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, I still have like 3 of them.
Because the players probably didn't want them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because they were pissed, right?
Yeah. It's like, wow, I'm never going to wear this, right? But they're actually really comfortable. So
yeah. You can train in it. It's like a gym shirt.
Yeah, it's a perfect gym shirt, I think. Because it's really like light. It's perfect for summer.
It's like those, that
polyester.
Polyester, is it? Yeah.
So
memories, man.
Story time.
Trip down memory lane.
I
mean, talking about Worlds, you watched Worlds, right? All the
so the semi-finals are recently.
So by the way, we're going to talk a little bit about Worlds. Again, this is going to be less of like, this is not really about Worlds from like a, this is more about the games themselves, like the in-game stuff specifically, right? And for people who haven't seen, this is a spoiler alert, for those of you who haven't seen the T1 versus Damwon best of 5 semifinal, pause it, watch it, or if you don't care, if you're getting the results spoiled, then that's okay. So, what do you want to talk about this best of 5, Nathan? This was the SKT Damwon Gaming best of 5, went to 5 games.
Is it fair to say this is one of the best series of League of Legends we've witnessed in terms of the level of play?
In terms of level of play, I would say it's one of the greatest best of 5s of all time. In terms of hype, and in terms of like the way it played out, I think the only one in my mind that matches it, for me anyway, was the SKT Samsung Worlds Game 5. Because I distinctly remember Ruler getting caught out and then SKT winning. He was playing Jin, I remember specifically, and he walked up, he got caught out, and then SKT won, and then they won Worlds that year. I think that would have, and I think that would have had to be the greatest of all time for me.
That's number 1 for you?
Best of 5, yeah.
What about the best of 5 with the Faker Z thing? That was the SLK finals in 2013.
To be honest, I don't really know much about that. I wasn't really following LCK
we weren't
religiously,
really,
so.
Yeah.
Or OGN. I think it was called OGN back then, right?
OGN, yeah.
But it was
one of the best. It was fantastic.
The level play was unbelievable.
I just want to highlight some statistics that I was seeing.
Okay.
Game 1, I never know how to pronounce T1's ADC's name. Is it
Gumyushi?
He had like 280 CS and they're like behind at 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. The CS numbers were absolutely incredible.
Yeah, across the board.
Showmaker LeBlanc, 170 CS at 15 minutes. Okay. Can you explain to me a LeBlanc with a head the hot clock CS you've seen before?
Yeah, I mean, it very rarely happens. But I think for me, that his LeBlanc was it's just flawless.
Yeah.
I mean, there's very little, like, and I said this, we had a chat with 610 this morning about Showmaker and...
I love that video you sent me, the Showmaker video.
Which one was this one?
Did you send it to me?
Oh, yeah, the humor, him versus humanoid.
Shots.
Yeah. But
I actually showed it in my review session, even though it's a mid thing in my jungle. I said, because some guy, I think one of the reviews, he started like missing some skill shots and stuff. And I was like, if we really just, we can go about theory and path and all that sort of stuff. Like, if you just look at this guy just hits his.
So to give a bit of context, there was a clip floating around it was like a pro view of Showmaker vs Humanoid from Mad Lions. And it was like the first 3 minutes of the lane phase or something.
And it had like a little counter of every skill shot.
So it was a Syndra v Orianna, which is a hardcore skill matchup.
Yeah.
And he just like hit I think it was like 6 out of 7 Qs, forced Humanoid out of lane, forced his TP, and all because he forced his TP, Showmaker got a better reset and then was able to TP bot, get a kill. Just all that, just 1v1. This is mechanical outplay, micro outplay. Just he's better hitting
at a huge advantage. And I sort of wanted to show that as an example.
It's like, there's not team play.
Yeah, if you just hit your skill shots, guys, you put yourself in a pretty good position,
Yes.
You're going to win a game of League of Legends.
Yeah, this is why I say the early lane matters so much.
Yeah.
And this is what people also don't understand. And even at the highest level of play, this is not even a team diff. This is at World. This is still an individual.
The best players
this is still an individual difference. This isn't, the game was over, or like borderline, not over, but it was a huge advantage to Damwon just off lane. First 5 minutes of the game.
Oh, the game's over.
The game's basically, at that level, it basically is over, which is incredible.
And I love that message. It's such an important message, I think. Just be like, especially, with coaching content and macro, it's like, guys, just, if we hit our skill shots, obviously there's
well, you got to dodge their skill shots, hit my skill shots.
Obviously there's like levels to it, right? And it's like, obviously what we're seeing, it's not as that simple. But like, it really just simplifies things a bit. It's like, this is the game of League of Legends still.
Yep.
Hitting your abilities more than the enemy team equals you win.
Oh, you have a significant lead. You have a significant lead,
right? All series, the kills were so low, right? But it wasn't in terms of like, there wasn't fighting. There was fighting happening, but people would always like
Everyone just
escape.
survive.
Everyone just survived. Like, That's really high level gameplay. Like that's like, you know, when you play a SoloQ game where it's like back and forth, but no one's dying. Like those are really like stressful games. Like in my eyes, there was literally 7 in the last game. There was 7 kills at 28 minutes. Unbelievable, right? And the game just exploded off one Baron fight.
And what people don't, and this is the thing, if anyone had just the time and they wanted a fun little activity for a little bit of money, if they got ProView and they were to watch Faker play Rise into Showmaker's LeBlanc, how much pressure was being exerted on him as an immobile mage into Showmaker's LeBlanc when Canyon was constantly hovering, everyone's hovering, no vision. His threat assessment is unbelievable. Like, it is out of this world. Like, how good. And when there's so little deaths, we always assume that nothing's happening. But the way I viewed each and every second of that game from every lane, everyone was walking on eggshells. There was so much pressure being exerted. Just fog of war. The classic Andy Cupcake fog warring was going on 24/7. One misstep, you're just dead. One in Faker getting hit by one chain, he was dead. But he was just dodging chains, trying to match. He played out of his Rise was out of this world. Like, it was incredible to watch. And when I was watching, like, I felt so nervous watching each and every part of those games. I can't even begin to imagine what it felt like to play those games.
Especially going through a best of 5 series, the mental fortitude is unbelievable in something like that.
And this is what I would love to do. Like, if we could make content on ProView, I would love to highlight, like, you know, we talk a lot about threat. That game, if I were to like use a term to really describe what that entire series was all about, it was perceived threat. Canyon was beautifully hovering on one side, reset out of vision, go to the other side. Clearing vision in one area, not being able to walk up there, walking that tightrope beautifully. It was all about threat. And if you were to watch it from try and put your shoes in what it would feel like to be in that situation with very limited information, especially being in a mobile mage, those games where they were giving Showmaker LeBlanc, it was mind boggling. It was really, and even in game 5, when you watch Gumayushi, I think he was playing Phelios in game 5, how he was like posturing so aggressively against like a Zoe and all these champions that were throwing a Ziggs, a Zoe, throwing all these skill shots at him, but he was like just walking up, just trusting his. It just proves it's so important. If he doesn't walk up and get pressure off that mid wave, they can't contest.
That's
but
right.
he had to. It was like life or death. In those situations for SKT in many of these games, it was like just mechanics. They had to trust their mechanics to win out the situation. There was one as well, I think it was in game 3, where there was a constant trading sides of the map. Like SKT they were really good at trading sides of the map. Did you notice that? Like in the series, how like they always they were good at trading off things. And there was this one moment where Faker on Rise was hovering his top laner, and then he TP'd back onto the other side of the map, and he knew that he had to it was like a 1v2 scenario, and he like walked up. I think it was versing a Jarvan LeBlanc, I believe. And he perfectly, he cleared the wave. He pushed his limits and cleared the wave and prevented them from stacking the wave into getting that tower. And if he got hit by the EQ or if he got hit by the single chain, he was dead. And then they lose that tower. They probably, honestly, Damwon would have ran over that game. But he just trusted himself. And he's like, I'm going to create a lead for my team. We're going to lose this game if I don't. And he walked that tightrope, avoided those abilities, chatted up, and I'm like, wow. And no one even spoke about it. But people don't understand how difficult that would have been to that decision, and how little room there was for error there. It reminds you of kind of like F1 drivers, how they're on that, they're trying to find that perfect
around the corner.
Yeah, that the perfect amount of acceleration without sliding out. It's like that little minuscule. That's the level they were playing at, and it was unbelievable to watch. One of the most entertaining series I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Highly recommend giving it a watch.
Yeah, you also were saying that you're talking it's crazy to watch people pilot these champions that are doing everything correct.
Yeah, 610 made a comment in the MLA this morning to me that I agree with, which was when you watch Canyon and Showmaker specifically play the game, when you watch their skirmishing and fights, they play skirmishes and fights without exaggeration, flawlessly. And you know, when we play team fights, everyone plays team fights and skirmishes. You can look at the review and be like, oh, I could have played that better. I could have done this, I could have done that. you can literally go back and look at it, and there is nothing they could have done better. But it's not just once; it's every
Consistency.
single fight, every single skirmish is played exactly like if I were to sit here, like in hindsight, with my coffee, like a Reddit analyst, and be like, "Okay, you should do this, execute this, throw your skill shot here, hit this person." He does that.
Yeah.
He does that on the world stage when it really matters. Again and again and again.
Because there is, I mean, the best players as well, they stuff up that one time. You know, they could be doing that level, but the fact is that there's just
There's no room for error.
no stuff up.
No stuff ups. And this is the thing, Kana on SKT, you know, I was very critical of him in that game. But Kana, right? So he was the top laner for SKT. He looked outclassed. But when we say outclassed, it's very, very small differences between him. Like, we're talking, okay, true players. Let's compare Kana versus Showmaker. The difference between Kana and Showmaker, it's like in that one scenario where like he could have dodged that one ability and doesn't have to blow flash. It's like that. But it's like mini moments, like these miniature moments within the game. Like you can see that he's like faltering. He's making like those minuscule mistakes that do add up. And it's that one little wasted ult, that one missed SoloQ, that one mispositioning. It's like those little mistakes. That's a difference. That's just a difference. Showmaker doesn't make those errors. Kana does. And Kana looked outclassed. He was the only person I feel like in that entire thing, like that game.
He just genuinely outclassed.
He just wasn't on that level. Like he was that notch below, which is still in every other region the best of the best.
Yeah.
But when we're talking with these players of this caliber, it's just a different ball game, you know? And in my mind, Damwon are the greatest. They look like the greatest team ever. Like just in terms of coordination, flawless, like how they play out their comps, beautiful League of Legends. And they will confidently play, like they pick, like I remember game 1, LeBlanc, Lee Sin, just flawless, just beautiful, standard League of Legends, nothing fancy really, just mechanically played flawlessly. But if they don't land that chain, they miss that gank, they lose that game.
That's right.
But
that's the thing that's very easy to gloss over, you know? And I made a video on Canyon's SoloQ when he went to EU West.
He's a prodigy, by the way. Those two players are prodigies amongst prodigies. Those two players specifically are like the perfect combination of hard work, talent, and like just determination. It's like everything, those two players.
In this video of Canyon, I had like 4 key lessons from the games. In this first game he specifically played, he was playing Lee Sin. They were 10k gold down at one point. And I just showed just every situation in the game. And he never, not once, breaks the game losing play. Never in his SoloQ games. I mean, he obviously probably does eventually, but this one game specifically, just sort of just showing.
Even from behind.
Even when he's 10,000 gold down, like the message was like he's comfortable losing this game if there's no opportunity that presents itself.
Yeah, he will never make a play that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Yeah,
that's incredible.
And like that's such a really important lesson. I was sort of showing it's like, guys, this is
you just lose it. He'll just lose it happily.
He was versing Owner in that game as well.
Oh, really?
It's like he's versing random US Challenger players.
Wow.
You know, so it's like, and I think there was some other. I think it was Human or something other time as well. So he's versing very good players still.
Yeah.
10,000 gold down, doesn't make the game losing mistake. Finds one pick on like
pick.
a Mumu, like warding for Baron. Bam, they turn the game. Bam, they win the game.
Wow.
But he would never have been in that position.
And the poise that would take to make those sorts of.
But the crazy is that
well.
he's not at his level of focus. He would not be. He's just a solo game. That's his default.
That's his default.
That's his standard, which is unbelievable, dude. If that's what his default is.
Imagine what he is on the world stage. And he does play on the world stage. He looks like a cut above.
Yeah.
You know, and I want to give props to Faker. Like, I think Faker is one of the most inspiring figures in esports ever. And I don't think you can. Even if Showmaker does, I think Showmaker could quite easily win more world championships.
You'd have to play it for another 6 years or so.
But Faker is the fact that he has been around for so long and
so many different teammates.
And he's playing such high level League of Legends at that age. So many, gone through everything with the same organization. He's the GOAT. Like, he is the GOAT. Like, Faker
undisputed. It is undisputed.
He's undisputed GOAT. Yeah. And in a way, like, even if Showmaker does go on to become better, he's still going to be, it's kind of like the Kobe Bryant. It's kind of like Michael Jordan is Faker. And then Kobe Bryant, even though he's a GOAT in his own right, it's still That's still he's still following Michael Jordan's footsteps. You know?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
he learned
it's like
from
the
Michael
Shaqs of the day, all that sort of stuff. Like all those players that sort of came.
And then there's the
after.
Michael Jordan,
Yeah.
and he's on it like a figure of his own.
Yeah.
And we always we spoke about this in the last episode. Time is a true test of success. Faker, to be operating at that level and lead a team of rookies like that and be the best performing member, in my opinion, Faker played exceptional. League of Legends. Yeah, he made little mistakes here and there, but you know, dealing with Canyon, that the jungle difference as well and things like that, like he went above and beyond. And you could see he was really playing to win. Like he made game-winning plays. It's just unbelievable to me.
And remember, he's getting, I think the narrative, he's getting older, but guys, look at his level.
He's getting better.
He's getting
better. He breaks the narrative. And, you know, people don't just say, you know, he's an anomaly, but he proves the point.
Okay, I reckon Showmaker could make, like, maybe, because remember, before Michael Jordan, there was the Larry Birds and all that sort of stuff, right? If he was to win 3 worlds in a row, get in there, still not enough for Faker. And then, like, maybe, like, he has, like, 2 bad years and then wins 3 years in a row. Like, then you would probably...
No, so Showmaker would have to... It's not even about... For me, it's not even about how many worlds you win. I mean, that's about... You got to win a lot. You got to win at least... what, 3 worlds? Faker's won 3, right?
Yeah.
Not in a row, but 3 across time. He won Season 3.
Season 4 wasn't there. Season 5... They won, and then Season 6.
Yeah. Because I remember they lost to Samsung in one of them, didn't they?
Yeah.
Was that Season 7? I don't know. Anyway,
I
so I think they've won 3, right?
Yeah.
And so he would have to win 3, a minimum. If they do it in a row, that's even more impressive. But then he would have to stay around, even if he doesn't, like, you'd have to win LCK again. Because Faker just continues to win LCK, even when he, like, didn't win Worlds. Like, they're still winning LCK and things like that, you know? So he would have to win LCK maybe once or twice more and then be around, then maybe come back to Worlds and have a really great performance. Like, maybe make it to semis again. Like, he would have to be around for a long period of time. Because time, again, I feel like time is the thing that makes you the greatest.
That's right.
Or, like, the GOAT, you know? A GOAT. So time will tell. But, look, I highly recommend
watching that series.
Giving it a watch. Even if you're not a fan of esports, just from a League of Legends perspective, it's just bloody beautiful. Really, really beautiful.
And in terms of, like, people like, you know, what can I learn from this? It's like, you reply to your solo games, you know, not much, you know, almost nothing.
It's not even for learning. It's more just to marvel at beauty.
Yeah, this is what amazing League of Legends, amazing teamwork, amazing coordination looks like.
This is the peak of performance. Like, just to marvel at peak performance, really. It's kind of like when you watch, like, when I was tuning into the Olympics. I don't know jack shit about weightlifting, but, like, I could just marvel at, like, I can see the work and the dedication, the pursuit of mastery. That it's so beautiful to watch.
All right, moving on here, Curtis. Playing from behind. I think we've covered this on the podcast before, but I keep hearing this question pop up, and I sort of want... hopefully we, like, clip this segment, ideally, and put it on our Clips channel.
Okay.
People ask, how do I play from behind? And I want to get your thoughts. So this is my most common response. No general advice will help unless I look at specifics for that. Something I don't want you to really focus on, because I would rather you think about how to get a lead, and then we can work from
let's first talk about, so is this people from SoloQ? They say to you, what do they say specifically?
YouTube comments, what's up? Literally, that's their general question.
How do I play from behind?
Or with this champion. Okay, specifically what I was asked was champs like, okay, I guess there was champs, so Hecarim and Graves.
Okay.
And then most was, unfortunately, these type of champions, they can't fundamentally be good from behind because they don't have any reliable CC. And they're, like, Graves specifically, he's damage, pure damage. If you're behind, you don't have tools to get back into the game.
So the way I would tackle this, I think there are fundamentals that you can apply to like playing from behind.
Of course.
But the way I view it, because in League, one of the mantras, Nathan, of the BBC that I really want to push harder is League is a game of nuance and grey areas, and nothing is simple as black and white. And what I feel is, though, when it comes to like playing from behind, there are like these, let's say there's 4 or 5 general like kind of like principles that you can apply. But the champ that you play and the game that you're in will determine. There'll be different degrees of which one you would emphasize. So, for example, like you said, with Hecarim and Graves, you're not just going to probably sit, or as Hecarim specifically, you can't just like lose gracefully in a way. You're not just going to sit there and then like farm and lose gracefully. In a lot of, I mean, again, it could even be a generalization because you might be ahead still. You could be behind, but your team might be ahead, and you can lose gracefully and just be that, like, just farm and not be useless. But then there are going to be other games where you're losing and everyone else is behind, and you don't want to sit there and farm up. You probably want to do something creative and do something chaotic to get back into the game, right? So that's two different examples of playing from behind. Yeah. Sometimes you can do farm.
Now that I think of it, I think that when people approach that, they have a different idea of what behind. Like, I think when they ask that question, they're trying to find an answer to games that are probably like unwinnable. But there's certain levels of behind because there is probably moments in the game where you can get back into the game, but that's so specific. Like,
it's so specific.
Let's at the end of the day, it's very rare.
So let's talk about the mindset.
Three losing games, three losing
zero
win conditions.
Oh, you mean 3 losing lanes?
3 losing lanes, like zero win, like literally, like everyone's 0-4. Like, that's not a game that I would even be thinking about playing from behind because there is no real answer to that, right? But let's say it's like, I'm behind, but I've got laners to think. It's like, well, then I can use that. It's like there's no advice unless I look at the specific. And again, I think that there's levels to it, and maybe we should tackle the mindset when that question is asked.
So let's say okay. So let's really break it down from first principles in a way. Okay. So in a game of League, the objective is to win. Number one thing, we want to win. We want to kill the Nexus. Okay. Now, when killing a Nexus and trying to win a game of League of Legends, you can't just go from 0 to kill the Nexus. You got to, first of all, be stronger than your opponent sometimes. You got to kill towers, whatever, and you're eventually going to get there. But there's many, many ways to kill the Nexus. Like, there's 3 lanes. If you're a jungler, there's 3 lanes to play around. You yourself could be a potential win condition. Now we're talking about win conditions, or win condition, a way, certain conditions we can meet so we can win this game, okay? Now, embedded within win conditions, there's also your role. Like, what's my role within this, say, set win condition? We call this, say, set win condition a plan or a specific strategy. You just play one piece. You're just one role within this. You play one role. It's like a giant company in a way. You're just like this one little role within it. Okay. Now, you might be one big key figure. You might be a small one. You might be a facilitator. You could be a secondary carry. You could be, there's many, many roles that you can fit within a given win condition. Identifying win conditions is only possible if you're able to identify your role. Now, in terms of identify your role, you can't just pull your role out of your ass. Your role is dependent and interconnected with the other champions that are on your team and how strong they are and what the other champs are on the other team. So just by nature, just by breaking it down, because your role is inherently, it's inherently determined by the other things around you. It's super situational based on the circumstance. So then the skill set is essentially being able to determine, first of all, you got to know how champs interact and how win conditions are brought about. And this is something that takes a lot of time. And so I've been kind of getting into win con assessment. I'll say this kind of ties into playing from behind because at the end of the day, it's still killing the Nexus. Just trying to find a way to kill the Nexus. And I say this to my Master T clients and my high diamond clients. I say, the difference between me and you isn't usually micro, is not usually matchup understanding or team fighting or skirmishing, although there might be little bits here and there I'm better. But I just know how to kill the Nexus better than you. I'm just better at that than you. Because and then they say, well, how did you get better at that? Well, there's a few things. Number one, I first got to high elo with I knew how to kill the Nexus with 3 champs. Really, really well. I learned how to kill the Nexus with 3 champs through playing with intensity, a metric ton of games at a high level. And then when you verse other people at a high level, your view of how to kill the Nexus gets strengthened. Because now what's happening, you're forced to test a wide variety of hypotheses about how to win a game. You'll try one thing in Diamond 4 that works, and then you'll try that exact same thing in D1. That doesn't work anymore. Because people just will respond to it. They'll respect it better. They won't get caught off much. Okay, I got to try something different now. Okay, how do I kill the Nexus now? Okay, I got to try something else. And then you verse better opponents, better opponents, better opponents. So the higher elo you get through the lens of certain champions, that's why I say you ideally want to climb with a handful of champions. Then I now have a very holistic, well-refined game sense, or I've developed the skill set of being able to kill the Nexus.
That you can apply to many situations where you're in
and many
behind.
champions though now.
Okay.
So cause that's why if you get to challenger with a handful of champions, if you climb with 3 champs, you will now likely be able to play 98% of champions to master tier, I would say. Just through, not because you're good at that champ, but because you kind of just know how to win games of League of Legends. Like you can just really just apply your way of killing the Nexus, as long as you kind of know the basic champ identity and stuff like that. That's what I believe. At least for me, I can play anything to about D1 Master. Yeah. Anything. Yeah. Even if I've got no games on, I can play Lux in a random game. I don't really play Lux, but I could.
If you were to play top lane, you think
in mid? I'm talking my role.
Your role. So it's got to be your role. I was going to say
obviously your role. Yeah. Because you again, how to kill the Nexus is dependent on you can't. The way I kill the Nexus as a jungler is going to be very different
that's right.
to mid lane.
Yep.
So you could probably play many junglers to D1.
Well, I'm currently Diamond 1 now on my main champ. So.
Yeah, but I'm
I
would say you could. But even then, but you didn't get challenger. So I mean, you're not a challenger. I wouldn't say you're a challenger jungler at the moment.
No, correct.
So that's fine.
Yeah.
But I think once you do get to challenger, a high challenger, you can confidently get to mastery with any jungler.
I agree.
So the point I'm trying to make here is that the skill, when we're thinking about playing from behind, what we're really talking about is win con assessment and role assessment. Those are the two things we're actually talking about. There's no such thing, like playing from behind is not any different from playing from ahead.
That's right.
It's actually the same thing.
It's the same thing because you got to figure out, I mean, it's all about killing the Nexus, as you said.
That's all it is.
Figuring out how to kill the
Nexus. So
Nexus.
whether or not I'm the carry or I'm not the carry, I'm still killing the same. I'm still trying to kill the Nexus. Tying back to that Canyon thing that you said.
Sometimes it's actually harder when you're ahead to win games than certain games where you're behind.
It can be hard. Okay, so let's get specific here. I think it can be harder on your mental stack to play from ahead because you have so many options. When playing from behind, you kind of know what you're looking for and you only have sometimes one option. So it's like, I'm just going to go hard on this.
And it just works sometimes.
And sometimes it's like, I'm just going to go hard on this. At least I know, at least then I can focus on my execution because I know I have this one win con. This is the only thing I can do. Yeah. And win con assessment, it's not something that comes overnight. It's a very long-term process. And again, the mindset is, it's like every game is a puzzle and I'm going to find a way to utilize my kit in this game to win. And the better you understand your champ's identity, and the more you understand your champ's identity, and the more cerebral you are thinking about comps, and the more like you understand how lanes and champions interact, you will naturally get better at it. And funnily enough, I'm gonna go a bit deep on this one. I had a discussion with a client in the MLA about because I talk about this topic all the time. Killing Nexus. It's like the one thing, it's probably the most common thing I talk about with my diamond clients.
So every session you ask, how do I kill the Nexus at the beginning?
Well, I usually ask them, what do you think? I will ask them, like, so how are you going to win this game? I'll say that. So what did you think in this game? Like, how did you think you were going to win?
You say...
So what were you thinking in this game, in this moment?
So that would be like at 15 minutes or something like that.
I'll ask it all the time. Yeah, like, to try, because what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to empathize. Like, what do they think here, right? And so I'll give you an example. I was working with a Z player. She's actually, it's a girl, and she's a high elo Z player. She's like D2. She's really good at Z. Beautiful champ mastery, mechanically flawless. And then I asked her, like, how are you going to win this game? Like, she got a lead. And then, like, she couldn't really answer it. Like, she didn't really, it's really, like, hazy. She didn't genuinely know how to win the game. It
wasn't a very quick response.
Well, she genuinely said, I don't know.
I just don't know.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
And what happening, and I was, it was really fascinating. We got to a moment where, in my mind, it's like it's super clear. It's like you got a strong side, top side. Your jungler's your top side. All you got to do is shove this wave and move top and hover and dive their top laner. And then what did she do? She saw, oh yeah, bot lane's like kind of overextended, and then she just went bot. And I explained to her, I said, if you get this kill bot, let's actually like play it out in your mind. You're gonna get this kill bot. Then what's gonna happen after? Your top laner, your jungler is going to look for a 2v2 top side.
That might be coin flip.
That's going to be, we don't know what could happen there.
Yeah.
Then your mid lane is actually going to probably be able to attend that top lane skirmish. That kill that you get for this, you lose low 80, or maybe even save your 80 carry, he's going to be so low that he can't continue to do anything anyway. There's no objectives on bot side. And this kill isn't going to change how your 1v1 matchup plays out, and it's not going to change how their 2v2 plays out. They're still going to lose a 2v2. Now, let's actually go back in time, in your mind, and try and envision what would happen if you were to go top here. Well, yeah, if I went top here, I would actually turn that 2v2 into a 2v3, which we would inevitably win. Then we could get Rift off the back of that. My top would get 2 plates in. We could probably Rift top after and break top tower. And my mid laner would have had no options. He wouldn't have been able to do anything. Or even if he went bot and kill bot, they're probably going to die in the 2v2 anyway. But now I have a very strong, clear member, a clear person I can play around, that I can complement, and I can roam, and I can hover. And we can turn this into a pretty free mid game. So what we've done there, what I try to do is I first try to get the person to understand what they were thinking and why they made that decision. Sometimes it's I genuinely thought this was the right play. Sometimes they weren't aware of the jungler's location. Sometimes they didn't know who was strong and weak in the game. Or sometimes they just autopilot and it's just like, they're overextended, I'm just going to go there. Or like, my vision was that side, I just happened to move down there. It's just by chance. And then what I do is I play it out. It's like, okay, this is what we got from this. Let's actually look at what we got from this. And then go back in time and I'll say, this is what I would have done and why. My jungle's on this side of the map. My top lane is actually winning here. And I believe that champion's good into these champs as well as this person already being ahead. And my bot lane's losing. I can create a secondary win condition. Bam, 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 bam. And then after, she's like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. I'm able to get ahead, but I just don't win games. And it seems really, really simple, but for some people, this isn't intuitive. The concept of creating a secondary win con, or the concept of playing with your jungler and this is the crazy thing and why it's not intuitive and why I've noticed people are stuck in diamond for a long period of time. When they go for a roam and it works, say, for example, she goes bot, she gets that kill. She's not going to go into the review and be like, what did this actually get me? And
what did I lose for?
And what could I have done otherwise?
What was another
They won't do that.
Yeah.
Most people, because of their egos, they'll think kill successful.
My top lane
sucks.
Yeah.
Jungle diff, top diff, or they'll look at that team fight later on where their top lane messed up and I just slowly lose. Fuck it.
Yeah.
They won't actually look at the things that they did do well. And actually, what were the alternate options? It's not just about what you did. It's more about like what you missed out, like missed opportunities or like the alternative.
I mean, but I feel like people have ideas. They've done it before and they can activate that part of their brain, but they're just lazy.
No, I don't think it's laziness.
You don't think it is?
I think it's ego.
You think it's ego?
I think it's ego. I think it's a protection. It's a protection.
It's a defense mechanism.
It's a defense mechanism, yeah.
To blame them for that loss.
Exactly, because it hurts.
It's not taking accountability.
It hurts to go back in that VOD and say, I lost the game when I went for this roam here and got that kill bot.
That's very...
Who says that?
Who says that? No one says
that. And when people listen to my stream, I'll say, and like I had this game, like I played really, really well and like I made one mistake and lost. And I remember thinking, I'll say something sometimes, I lost when I did this one thing. Even though I look good, right? I look good here, but I still could have won this game.
Yeah.
Because I don't really give a shit about these players. I want to win the game at any cost, at all costs. And I know that I could have won this game. And that matters more to me than blaming this dude. It just matters more to me. I care more about winning in this situation. And so I think when people come from that question, they say like, how do I play from behind? It's like, okay, we can look at these games where you're behind and look at like how you identified your role. We can get into that. But you got to realize that like the mindset of just being able to identify your role and think about win cons and missed opportunities, that's what we're getting at really.
And it's the exact same when you're ahead.
It's the exact same when you're ahead. That's all it is. Yeah. We're just trying to kill
You're playing the game of League of Legends. You're adapting. You're trading sides. You're trading objectives. Like there's always windows.
Think of it like chess. When you make a move in chess, you don't just like, okay, like you take this guy's piece. There's always a consequence for that action because now you've put yourself in a different position and they can make a counter move. And even if you got this piece and they didn't get a piece, that doesn't always mean that getting that one piece is the best move. Sometimes not getting it might be better. Again, you need to be able to go back though and like look at it. And in chess, like because it's a 1v1 and you control everything, it's a lot easier to go back over your mistakes and take responsibility because there's no one else to blame. But in League, it's not so much the case, right? So walk me through. So you don't feel good answering that question because
I will always lose answering that question. Like I can't like basically unless we've done that whole in depth. Like I sat down, we had a podcast, we talked about the mindset of this question. Like I can't just type all that out what we just said, you know?
So if someone says, how do we lose? So I think then if someone is struggling to play from behind, that is a sign that I would say they're not actively identifying who's strong on their team, who's weak on their team, how they can utilize their kit to like help those players. But then on the flip side, there are certain champions like Yasuo in mid lane that when you get behind, you don't have a role. Like you're just done. Like you have just got to farm. You just got to farm. There is nothing else but farming. And sometimes you might farm and you might win because like the enemy like make plenty of mistakes and that happens. But sometimes like you simply don't have options. And I want to talk about that in a second. But is there anything else with this losing thing that we need to cover that you want to get off your chest while we're on this topic?
No, I think that's good. I think that yeah.
So get specific. That's your advice, right? Get specific.
Yeah. But I guess the key thing I want here to people think about, what's their mindset? What is playing from behind? Because I have an idea of what playing behind is, and that's the way I answer that question. But I feel like people ask that question wanting a solution to games that are, you shouldn't be putting your effort into that type of situation.
So the intention of learning to play from behind isn't to win the games. It's more to like maximize, just know what you are to do. Like in a way, it's like you're worried that people are trying to find a solution to something that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to win anyway.
Yeah.
But it should be coming from a sense of like, I just got to know my role at all times, no matter what. That's like what you want. That's the real message, isn't it?
Correct.
As long as you know your role in this game, or you have a hypothesis about your role, that's the most important thing.
I guess like the question would be, here's this game. This is the situation. What's my role in this situation?
Even then, it's hard to see without seeing the game sometimes.
Yeah,
and the rank.
You have to see the game, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why it's important. So yeah, you're right. The mindset's the most important thing, though. So following on from this, Nathan. So I'm going to give a little bit of a teaser of a video that I'm working on.
Oh, we love Curtis. There's a trailer.
And I think this is going to be an absolutely fascinating. And I got inspired here by Nassim Taleb. Again, shouting him out. In terms of not just the message, more about the level of thought and how
critical thinking.
Yeah, just again, we're on the theme of the month, basically.
Critical thinking,
right? So there are certain champs. Okay, so actually, I'm going to even go further back. Whenever I feel uncomfortable, whether it's in game or out of game, I take it as a sign. Something's not right. If I feel an emotion, whether it's anxiety, uncomfortable, some form of uncomfort, confusion, whatever, it's a sign that I kind of need to take a step back and like, where is this coming from? Like, why do I feel this way? And so I found over the past month or two, whenever I do a review with Yasuo, or I get questions from gold and platinum players when it comes to Yasuo, Kassadin, Vlad, Kayle, these champions, I get a sense of like unease. I really struggle to pinpoint it. But thanks to Nassim Taleb, I've addressed it, and I've really thought about this, and it's led me down an interesting path.
You've thought about why you feel uneasy when you get these questions about these champions.
And why I feel weird revying these games.
You couldn't pinpoint it.
No, I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know why.
Yeah.
And so I've come to I've struck gold here, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
It's going to be very careful about how I word this. So it can be quite complicated. So I want you to envision your imagine if we are in front of a maze, and let's say there's 5 of us, me, you, and 3 other BBC listeners. Okay, and you remember Harry Potter on the what's that film,
with the maze, the Goblet of Fire,
and you know how there's like different entrances, kind of.
Yep.
And we're all lining up in front of an entrance. So you've got your entrance, I've got my entrance, and we've got our entrances. And we go into this maze, and we'll take a different path. And we have no idea where that path will lead us. And you go in, And each of us faced different problems, didn't we? If you've seen Harry Potter, if you think back, they all go, and there's like Cedric Diggory, Harry Potter, and those other guys, the girl. And there's different monsters or different scenarios, different problems they face. And they're all trying to get to the end. They're all trying to get to the end of the maze, which is the Goblet of Fire. In our case, maybe it's Challenger. Let's just call it Challenger. And the reason I'm bringing up this as an analogy is because I feel like this is exactly what happens when someone begins their ranked journey with a specific champion. So I'm going to just, for the sake of this example, say we're all 5 mid laners. I'm a Yasuo main. You're a Orianna main. Down there we got a TF. We got a Nivea. We have a Galio. Wave at him if you want to wave at him, Nathan. And we all go in. And given my path in the maze is different to yours, I'm going to face different problems. And the first half of my maze might be really easy. And then it might be a little bit tricky. It might be a really, really hard bit. So the first 50% might be really easy, and then it might get really hard. For you, the first 20% might just be brutal, but then you smooth sail from 20 to 70% of the maze. And we all face these different problems. And what I'm getting at here is that the champion that you choose, or the tool, if you want to call it a tool, or the maze, dictates it dictates your league journey that you're going to have. You're going to be more, exposed, or I guess there's a higher percentage of being exposed, or a proclivity. Sorry, my vocabulary is terrible here. but okay, basically there's a higher chance that I'm going to struggle with certain things compared to you as an Orianna player. So I am going to struggle against certain junglers, certain champions. I'm going to struggle against Hecarims. As you're an Orianna, you're going to struggle against Hecarims. I'm going to struggle against Hecarims as well. But that guy over there who plays LeBlanc or something isn't going to struggle against Hecarim. I'm going to struggle against CC. We're going to struggle against CC. That person over there might not be struggling against CC. I am going to, maybe I don't even care about junglers whatsoever. I just don't get ganked. My champion just doesn't get ganked. So I don't really have to worry about junglers. I have to focus heavy on micro and trading because I'm playing Yasuo, whereas that Galio player over there doesn't. He can just press Q on the wave, or maybe got another Malzahar player here. He just E on the wave, Q on the wave. I don't really have to worry about CSing and micro and all that stuff, micro interaction, tethering. Doesn't matter because I'm just one-shotting the wave and I just don't interact. And what I'm getting at is that we go in blind. People go into the starting rank journeys completely blind. We have no idea. We're starting in this maze. We have no idea.
They don't know what the maze entails.
They don't know what the maze entails.
Branch is going to be ripping at them
right
the moment they walk in there, or whether it's going to be 50% down the track.
Now, if we knew, right, given that we ideally we probably have a bit of information about our personality before we start to and tendencies before we start our league journey, if we knew what problems that we could face, what things are going to be easy, areas that you would have to direct a lot of attention towards, skills that you're going to have to develop a lot more than other skills. If you knew what was lying ahead on this path.
So you're saying with that champion you selected.
Yeah, with that champion you were selected.
The person
you would be able to now match up with the specific, you would be able to better equip yourself or know which maze to take, which route to take. If I knew what I was going to face, right? And I wouldn't care if so I face this problem. Great, I'm expecting that. I'm happy with those problems. I can tackle them right head on. But the problem is, I get people that, and no fault of their own, they love Yasuo, they love the design, things like that. But they start their league journey, and they were not anticipating the difficulties that lied ahead, and the problems that lied ahead, and the certain things that they had to do to climb with that champion. They unknowingly, signed a certain agreement, kind of similar to the SoloQ contract, with the game that said, if you are going to climb with this champion, this is how you're going to do it. Now, this doesn't exist anywhere. No one talks about this. We just say, all right, you're just going to pick a champ, whether it's because of the aesthetics, the thematics, the feel, whatever. You pick that champ and have a crack. Go in there. And time again, players come to me and they will get very confused because there's a player over here playing Galio, smooth sailing to Diamond 4, not really that good mechanically at all, can get there, but has over-index in other skills because, and maybe they've just by chance picked the champ that suits their personality, their strengths and weaknesses perfectly. Then you get another poor guy over here who loves Yasuo, loves Yone, loves Katarina, but they didn't realize that when you play Yasuo, there is no macro. I watch, and to prove this and to make sure that I'm on the right track here, I spent the last 2 days watching hours of PZ Zhang, the best Yasuo in Korea. And I was watching him just so really not just looking at how he how he wins games, just like literally how he kills the Nexus. How does he kill the goddamn Nexus as Yasuo? What does he do? All he does, he's very, very good mechanically in terms of trading, min-maxing like E in, auto Q, E back. Does know a lot about wave management. Incredibly good at farming raptors on cooldown. Basically zero roaming, zero awareness of what the hell, like just even watch his stream, like a lot of the time it's just coin flip whether he gets ganked or not. He just tries to outplay it.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is I was watching all these moments and I thought back to my experiences coaching a Yasuo player and the difference between PC Zhang and this coaching client in Platinum. PC Zhang will win this 2v1 or win this 1v1 because he flashes here and he does this and he executes it flawlessly. This guy doesn't. The Yasuo that dies here, their game's done. It's done. You're now going to die again, probably 2 more times. And whether or not you have the mental resilience, or maybe the game does get sorted out, sure, you might win it. But the game is going to be very, very hard for you. And you're going to die again and again and again. And PC Zhang, he farms 10 cents per minute. He farms. And then he'll pop off in mid-game at 2 items.
Yeah.
And then you compare how he kills a Nexus comparatively to, say, a TF1 trick in EU. Very different. Completely different skill set. Yes, there's some overlaps. They're still going to be good mechanically and things like that. But the way you kill the Nexus and where you're directing your attention and what is important to you is very different. In order for someone to get to PZ Zhang's level, they would have to have a metric ton of focus.
So their level as a Yasuo player as well? Or are you talking about as another mid laner, a different champion?
We're talking just with Yasuo. If you want to be like PC Zhang with Yasuo, you got to.
So we're talking about champion mastery here.
Yeah, we're talking about champ mastery. But to climb with these champions specifically, you're gonna have to spend a lot of time understanding your matchups and really being very good mechanically. And some people may love that.
Your path in the maze.
And exactly. And some people may love that. But you might love the idea of it. But when it really comes to the execution of this and getting into the details and being okay with losing it, being okay with, you got to have attention to detail as a Yasuo player. You just do. But that might not match up with what you were expecting with Yasuo. You know what I mean? So what I'm getting, the main point I'm trying to get across here, Nathan, is that people go in blind into their league journeys without knowing what they're signing up to. Then they dig themselves this huge fucking hole.
Well, wouldn't they need to watch guides? They'll be watching guides and stuff on YouTube and that sort of stuff.
But no one talks about this.
So they don't talk about the challenge specifically?
No.
Because in our guides, we talk about...
Okay, Nathan. Who does guides like us? Who does a guide?
I'm thinking...
Who does a guide like us?
Yeah, your actual
guide, a real guide.
Champion. You're talking about your journey with the champion.
These are the what's it going to look like? What are the problems you're going to face?
At what level?
What are you going to have to get good at?
Dude, my guides aren't like that. That's the next.
That's
level.
what I did with Kiana. That's what I've done. I've done this with certain. Some of my guys I haven't. Some I have.
Yeah.
But I still, and this one I haven't done this well enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've done it. Yeah, I haven't done it well enough.
And what I'm getting at, Nathan, is that people say I'm trying to climb with Yasuo, and their personality traits don't match up with the things that the way they would have to improve or they climb. They're not okay. They're not okay with getting into the details with Yasuo, and then complain about dying 4 times to ganks and shit like that. Well, that's just embedded in the champ. It's like a feast or famine champion. Are you okay with playing a feast or famine champion? Are you aware of the contract that you signed? And they're not.
No.
They're not aware of the contract that they've signed.
Yeah.
So going back to that maze analogy, everyone's just going in fucking blind. I don't know. I can't match myself up with the with the maze,
Yeah.
within the challenges and the trials and tribulations I'm going to face.
Yeah.
So what I want to do, I'm going to make the video I wanted to make was, I want people to know roughly, at least somewhat roughly, what challenges, what they're gonna have to do to climb with these champions, where they're gonna have to direct their attention, what ranks they're likely gonna get plateaued at, where you're gonna really find it hard to climb. Certain champs, if you play Malzahar, you're gonna get it really easy to plat 4, but then plat 4 to Diamond 4 is gonna be way harder. And then when you get to Diamond 4 as a Malzahar player, because you haven't developed other skills, you're gonna find it incredibly hard to get from higher than that, because you haven't allowed, you're not gonna be, Malzahar won't allow you to learn the mechanical element of the game. Because other champions, you'll actually be forced to learn the mechanical element of the game, but you don't learn the macro side of the game. So there's always trade-offs, and it's all nuance. So everyone's path is going to be skewed. You're going to be, like I said, breeze through the first 50%, but then that next 20% is brutal, then maybe it's easy for 10%. It's so complicated. It is so complicated.
Well, you see, with your analogy, I view it as two different mazes. Like, you have the champion mastery maze, and then we talk about gaming background, and you're like you have another maze, but that's like that person's entering that maze with like extra weapons, extra armor, or something.
You're
because
spot
they have
on.
like a pro player in another game.
And we could even, if I were to go in depth on this and really study this, because I've noticed this, by the way, and the only reason I've noticed this is because I've done hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of coaching sessions, right? In thousands, right, at this point, of coaching sessions. I've been able to see the trends, and there's certain types of personalities that struggle with certain champions, and their gaming backgrounds. And that's why I ask, when I do my first session with my new client, I'll say, tell me a bit about yourself. How long have you played the game? Did you play any games before League? How long have you played this champion specifically? I'll ask these questions. And I now know, I've gotten to the point where I can basically,
if you're like a survey, you can like map out.
I can, with 95% accuracy, without even looking at their gameplay, based off the champ they play, based off their rank and their game experience, I could tell you with 95% accuracy exactly what I'm about to see in this VOD.
Yeah.
And what they're bad at, what they're good at, what they're struggling with, and where they need to, without even just looking at the VOD. It's just their person.
Well, it's impressive. I can't do that. I mean, I don't really ask those questions. I'm also know what to expect with the champion and the rank. That's basically.
I would strongly suggest, Nathan, you start to really
I'll write out with my survey questions, because.
Well, just ask. It's just reserving.
What's your median income?
and if you see and if you ask these few questions, you get I would say with 99.9% of the time, that with the high low, the somewhat high reload clients that got there fast, they have a gaming background. And the ones that struggled and are stuck in like more like low gold and stuff like that, they didn't have a gaming background. I had a guy that he said he'd never played a PC game. He'd like barely played console, not even console. He said he played like Pac-Man or some shit, or, I don't know, or something like that. Tetris, they played Tetris. Like that's it. He went from Tetris to League.
Yeah.
He's going to struggle.
That's going to be hard. Very hard.
It's going to be very hard.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this to make him upset. I'm saying, you are going to improve slower than everyone. I told him straight up, you're going to improve way slower than everyone else.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. This is what it is. I'm
Get
just
excited about it.
Yeah, get excited about it. This is your David Goggins
journey.
Just because I don't want him to have unrealistic expectations. And so, I think this is an interesting avenue to explore, and I would love over time and over my time coaching, I want to like get very specific. It's like, okay, with this champion, you're going to experience these things. And so now, and this is actually going to influence my coaching. If I get a Yasuo, and this is something I'm going to make a video on in the MLA with these certain champions, you don't learn. I'm not there to teach you fundamentals with Yasuo. You just don't. I'll teach you wave management. We need that. Maybe a little bit of a little bit of jungle tracking and things like that. Maybe a little bit of warding.
But that PC Zhang doesn't do any.
Well, PC Zhang, like, you look at his warding, is very shit. Yeah. Like, and his jungle tracking, I guess, might be okay, but he's just he's just wave management and trading. Yeah. To be honest with you, PC Zhang would probably be better suited to a top laner. But regardless, what you need then to do is laser focus on mechanical optimization, really understanding your matchups, and there's certain ways to improve upon that. Now, what I would recommend certain players maybe playing Galio, when I tell them to look at VOD, I tell them to look at specific things. Where, like, how are they using their pressure? Where it, like, do they hover out of vision? What are they doing? How are they playing skirmishes? Things like that. How are they creating secondary win cons? Things like that. But then with a Yasuo player, what you should actually do is this is my technique and what I did with PZ Zhang. Look at what they did, pause the VOD, and then before you continue on, what would you do here? Pause it. What would you do here? Then play it and observe what they do. Then go to the next trade. Look at that trade. Why wouldn't you have done that? Would you have expected that? What are they factoring in that you're not? Why are they doing this? Why? Get fucking granular. Get fucking granular. And the more you do that, the more you understand the trading patterns, and the more you understand like how you're in and out,
breezing through the maze.
Yeah, you breeze through it, and then that's great. But if you don't enjoy that, don't play Yasuo.
Yeah.
If you don't want to hyper focus on your lane, your first 8 minutes of the game, and farm optimization, all that shit.
So you're really pinpointing on Yasuo, but you put him in the same category as Vlad, all that.
Yeah, because these
Kayle.
champs have very little. Like, why these champs all fit into a very similar category is because they have very little proactivity. It's just lane. You got to like be really, really, really good in skirmishes and your lane, and then you got to like be really good at farming, and then you got to like pop off. I want to give you an analogy about how I describe all these champs in a way. It's like not really Katarina, maybe Kayle, Yasuo, like maybe Vlad, Kassadin. I view them as like imagine like an ability. Okay, have you ever played a game where there's like a long charge up of an ability? So you got to like hold it down. And you're like charging it up, and boom! And if you hit it, you
One
win.
shot, yeah.
You one shot,
Yeah.
and then if you miss, it's like you just lose, right?
Yeah.
And the way I view all these champs, you're like charging out, and then you get to that one point where you got to execute. Boom! If you mess it up, you lost. And if you hit it, you win. And to confirm my hypothesis, I watched a bunch of Kayle. Nemesis is Kayle. Fuck me. This aggravates me.
Okay.
He plays Kayle, obviously in like Grandmaster, low challenger in Korea. It is the most boring, disgraceful league. It's just not League of Legends. And sorry to say, like, sorry to say here, I'm really is like and this, I don't want this to be a champ shaming thing, but I nearly fell asleep watching it. It's Kayle, farm, just has to get shoved in, 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 get shoved in. Okay, one item, get shoved in, get shoved in, get shoved. 1.5 item, get shoved in, catch wave, catch wave, catch wave, catch wave. Okay, now we're at level 13, level 14, keep going. No impact, fuck all impact, no roams, no hovers, no pressure, no TP to the side lanes, nothing. Even when he got to like level 15, 14, dying in the side lane still, keep going. Game somehow gets stalled out. Okay, finally we're going to group here. We're level like 15, 16. Okay, oh yes, I get my triple kill. We get Baron, win the game. What the hell is that?
You think
that's not League of Legends. There's no strategy. Like, you're no proactivity. You're not offering anything to the game.
Yeah.
And it aggravates me. It's like, okay, if you want to play Farm Simulator and then pop off at 3 items and feel like
But
Super
that's the
Saiyan
best way to play Kayle.
and play, yeah, that is Kayle. I'm not saying
Because
that's,
this is champion shaming, man.
but I'm saying it's like, unless you are really, and this is why I feel uncomfortable coaching Kayle as well. It's like, there is nothing to coach here at the end of the lane. It's like, you CS well, okay, get shoved in, good. I mean, you don't really have a choice whether you get a good resort or not because you can't do jack shit anyway. I mean, maybe you can like trade back a little bit if they misstep, sure, but it's so basic. Like the kit's so basic, and all we're gonna do is we're gonna pray that the game gets stalled out, and then we've got to look at your positioning and like your team fight execution, and like how good you are in the side lane, and then we'll look at your side laning, we'll look at your team fighting. But, like, we're just going to basically brush over really fast, like, the first 12, 15 minutes.
That's fine.
Which runs counter to, like, everything that I'm all about.
Yeah.
And why this is... Okay.
You got to adapt, Curtis.
Yeah, okay. Let's simply clarify. If you are okay with this, and I can help you with the translation leads, like the mid-game stuff. I will help you with this. But as long as you understand that there are going to be many, many, many games that are going to be completely out of your control, You got to be okay with that. As long as you're okay with that, like you're going to do nothing and then you're going to pray that the game gets sorted. If you're okay with that and you just love this style of play, sure. But do not complain to me that you get all these 30% losses or whatever. Don't complain to me that you have there's nothing I can do, because I get these comments that, but it feels like there's nothing I can do in these games. You're right. There is nothing. You're going to just lose this game. You're just going to lose. You're just going to lose. And you're gonna climb only ever with a very small win rate, because there's very little proactivity. If you're okay with that because you really love the champion, fine. I'll help you with the games that are somewhat winnable. But I guess my pet peeve is that people don't realize the agreement that they've signed, and they expect to play a hyperscaling champion and like
expect to have winning early game.
Yeah,
or something. Okay.
and like have all these options. No, you have fuck all options. Yeah. That's the agreement you've signed, dude. Be okay with that. And that's, I guess, and that's where my uncomfortability, we've gone in a huge circle here. That's where my unease started. My unease I felt in these sessions was that I'm right. There is very little proactivity.
Yeah. But you're trying to
because I don't play that way, and people don't, and that's why you don't see high elo KO one tricks and shit like that, because the champ's inherently bad. The champ's inherently shit, and there is very little options, and then you just go to mechanics max in mid game.
Well, Nemesis makes it work, so there's no denying about that.
But he doesn't get high elo.
I mean, Curtis, that's pretty damn high. Come on.
And then,
Challenger and career, dude, he'll be super high on.
Okay, then let's play devil's advocate. Then, with someone of that amount of talent and that amount of mechanical skill, how much higher elo would he be if he played any other champion in the game?
It's a great question. Yeah.
You tell me.
I don't know. Good question.
I don't know. So and how much of that rank is him just being good at the game?
Yeah.
Rather than Kayle. Insert any fucking champ.
Yeah.
And that unease, it's like, okay, I get it. So now I realize, and now I'm accepting that. Now Yasuo and Kayle are kind of different, because Yasuo has a lot of proactivity in the early lane, but the premise is kind of similar in the sense that, like, where I kind of find this similar is that it's like with Yasuo, if you die once, you can't facilitate. You have no utility. It's like you can't unbreak freezes, nothing. You're just...
Well, then we're going to the playing from behind conversation, Curtis. What's
and then there is no playing from behind with Yasuo, really.
So there's no role. There's no role.
I mean, it's just, again, just soak up farm. It's like,
there is.
You're a scavenger. You're just a scavenger. Scavenge for farm.
Yeah.
And again, pray.
Yeah.
That's one of the way you want to play League of Legends. Go for it, my man.
Yeah.
Go for it. But then, I'll be diving your bot. I'm TPing to your bot lane as Galio at level 3 and double killing your bot lane. I'm using my TFR, top lane, and snowballing this heavy trading matchup. I'm doing all these things.
All right, so we're excited for this next video.
Yeah, so that's what my video is going to be. I'm going to attempt. I need to take some time to really lay out my thoughts, but...
The maze analogy.
The maze analogy.
I always was thinking about the maze scene in Harry Potter when you were saying that. I was like,
did you get what I mean with the maze? Like, you kind of get it?
Yeah. Well, again, I was separated into two mazes, which also shouldn't be two mazes in a way.
No, I think it's more... I don't think it's two mazes. That's confusing. Maze? I think it's more like your other analogy you said, which is that they come in with different equipment.
Okay. Yeah, so they're playing Yasuo, but they have the advantage of all the mechanics from other games, so they have extra armor.
Yeah, so they've got like extra armor, like shield and stuff.
It is one
like
maze.
That.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, so let's take a quick break before we move on. I'm going to toilet break. And
we'll just jump into Mailbag next, yeah?
You want to go Mailbag?
Yep.
Okay.
Away we go! All right, guys, we're jumping into Mailbag, but Curtis, he's got to address something. Well, we were not going to address it, but we got to address it.
So on our last episode 72, last episode, we read through the comments, we check out the comments, and there was a comment we had, and it got a lot of traction, all right? And it was this dude, press F. I won't read it out. It's quite long. But it's basically saying how, where he's basically saying that Riot deserves to get hate, and that where we're delusional.
Delusional and completely
so apparently we're
from the experience of the average player.
Yeah, we're completely disconnected from the experience of the average player.
Stop with these takes, please, Franklin Tabasco. So this is in response to us saying that person who complained about coming back to the game once every year, He was upset about
He
that.
was upset about it, and then everyone jumped on the bandwagon, and I said that there was a level of anchoring effect at play there. Now, there is so many things wrong with many of the arguments here, and there's an extreme lack of critical thinking. So I don't really. I'm not going to reply to all of it, but I'm going to say one or two things here. Number one, you mention streamers. And you think that the majority of the people that play the game, which is, what's that, like 500 million, hundreds of millions, apparently there's hundreds of millions of people. But apparently, which is just straight up wrong, and you could never say a statement like that. But the main thing is saying that big streamers, all the big streamers, Yasuo, PewDiePie, Nightblue, they barely play. They've all quit the game. And Damwon is the only big streamer left playing the game, and look at his mental state. This is all due to Riot. It's all due to Riot. Okay, all of it. And, okay. Let's talk about streamers for a second, man. The biggest influencers. Talk about the biggest influencers. Would you say, press F, that these streamers have a healthy relationship with the game? Would you say that streaming as an actual activity is a healthy thing to do for an extended period of time? Let's take just one of them. You highlighted Damwon. Let's talk about Damwon. Damwon plays on stream. How long are he streams? 8 hours. I think he plays on average in a block on his stream straight 20 games, something like that. 15 maybe, between 15 to 20, maybe even more.
Well, it can't be in 8 hours. It's not possible.
It's a lot of games. It's a lot of games.
Yep, he plays a lot of games.
No reviews. On stream anyway. So if you're going to sit there, and you can actually see his body change. You go to the start of the stream and then go to the end of the stream. So he starts like this. And then he ends like this. Now, there are many things that contribute to feeling like shit playing a computer game. Now, actually, let's even put computer games aside. Let's say anything. If you abuse anything, you abuse alcohol, you abuse food, you abuse drugs, you abuse a video game, you abuse, just do anything repetitively, you abuse it. And if you don't have a healthy relationship with that said activity or whatever it is, you're probably not going to have a very positive experience, are you? It's going to end in disaster one way or another. You cannot blame an addict. You can't blame one of these addicts. Well, that's what I believe a lot of these streamers actually are. Well, there's even a fine line between a streamer and an addict. We'll put it that way. But that's a whole different conversation. You cannot blame all of these problems on Riot for someone who plays 17 games straight. Get fucked, man. This is so... You call us delusional. You and these streamers are completely disconnected from the average experience of a gamer. Until someone who sits there and takes and respects the game, plays in 3 blocks, does it with moderation, and does it and actually has a healthy relationship with the game, understands how they're impacted, understanding how they impact the game, understanding how their actions are impacting you pick a champion in champ select to understand how that champion is actually going to impact the draft, understanding how your lack of pressure is impacting the map, understanding just the entire psychology of the ranked SoloQ experience, as well as just what's going to happen to your focus after playing for more than 2 hours straight. All these things. We take all these things. And if you give me someone who all these streamers had a healthy relationship with the game and they still had a massive problems with Riot, sure, they would probably have a lot of merit. But
they have zero merit.
They have no merit. They have no merit.
And so his comment, his comment, he's trying to say that the biggest influencers are saying this and they must be...
Yep, if the biggest influencers or the big streamers, they say they don't like Riot, tell me any one of these who have a healthy relationship with the game or in general just healthy habits. Look at all the people that were streaming League that end up moving on from it, like Skara and PewDiePie. in all these. Yeah, they might be nice guys, but they don't have healthy relationship with the gaming. And streaming as an actual medium and a job is just by nature, it's not a very healthy thing. Yeah, you mean you're constantly under the public scrutiny.
It's all about views.
It's all about views and numbers and doing what is good for entertainment. You're just a little puppet there dangling in front of everyone.
Every streamer at the end of the day, they come out with their tweet saying their mental health problems.
The mental health issues has, I would say, 10% of it is probably from Riot, right? And 90% of it from streaming.
People disagree with that one, Curtis.
And so until you stream, and press F, until you've streamed, you can't have a take on this buddy, man, because you don't stream. Or at least no one watches your stream, so it doesn't matter if you do stream, from what I can tell. So, man, I take offense to this because we push the importance of critical thinking, right? And I get where you're coming from, man. I'm not saying Riot's perfect, but they've done a pretty good, they've made a pretty good game. Yes, they could be doing things better, but your argument is completely flawed, right? And by the sounds of things, you don't even really seem like you get the message of the BBC. So to be honest with you, I don't know why you watch the BBC in the first place. So I don't really, and to us, I want there to be other views and people opposing our takes, but make it more interesting than that. I agree with a lot of the criticism we get, but that is just calling us the delusional person, calling us delusional. I mean, get your facts straight and actually think through your argument before typing out an essay like that. That's frankly embarrassing, to be honest with you. That's just my take.
There was a comment from Torty in response to it saying he thinks the end of his comment was true. Many streamers and coaches like us are disconnected from the experience of average player. Most of them tend to talk about ranking blocks of 3 and have this idea of a gold player, but people out there don't make their life around the game and have actually work. I encouraged Torty to watch my interview with Ishan. He was a gold player who joined my coaching program, who had a full-time job and only played 3 games a day, and he got to master tier with that, with zero gaming background of at a high level. All I'm going to say is if you want to take the time to watch that, because that might change your perspective a little bit.
And I would say I'd bounce back there. I would say we are probably the people who have the most connection with the average experience, because all I do is talk with people who don't take... I've disconnected from the esports scene in the high elo community, and all I ever do is talk to people that have full-time jobs. I work with... most of my clients sort of are either at school, university, or have full-time jobs. But it's predominantly who I work with. So if anything, I'm actually... I would say I was disconnected big time a year or two ago. But now, I wouldn't say...
I think when we first started coaching, we actually realized how disconnected we actually were.
And that's why we have to do bulk sessions, really get to talk to these people, figure out their problems. So I'd say that's, again, that's actually one of our strengths, is that we are so connected with the average person's ranked experience. Hence why the 3 blocks is such a great little tool for the average person. It doesn't require much time, 3 blocks. It's just a great little thing. So anyway, that's my take. I couldn't just, given how much traction that comment got and people responding to it, because I thought it was a troll. To be honest, I genuinely thought it was a troll. That's why I didn't reply to it. So I thought it was just some guy just trying to gaslight us. But probably is. I still think it probably is. But we'll see if he replies again. Strap yourself in.
Strap yourself into the comment section of this on our YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify and stuff, you're gonna have to, obviously, after you hear this, you're gonna have to jump onto the YouTube video.
There's gonna be a YouTube comment war now.
Yeah,
back and forth.
Yeah.
All right, getting in.
All right, so we're getting to Mailbag now.
Yeah,
we're getting actually to Mailbag. We had a sidetrack.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm gonna do now? I'm actually going to we're gonna say away we go, and then we're gonna chuck the thing. Yeah. We're gonna do that.
Okay,
that's all right. Away we take 2. Away we go. Song. All right, first question here comes from Sage. Title of this email is Too Much Time Spent in Secondary Role Involuntary. Hi Curtis and Nathan, a question when playing ranked and queuing for mid ADC. To clarify, I always set primary role mid. I get my secondary role in about 40% of queues, which ends up me being ADC in about a third of my games, taking into account teammates letting me switch. It seems to me like I'm involuntarily being gimped in my improvement, considering the fact that I only get to play a single 3-block in a day, and 1 to 2 of the games can be wasted not getting champion mastery, losing intensity, etc. For the role I actually am attempting to main, which is mid. How can I mitigate this and learn from these games, continue improving as a mid lane despite this?
I mean, yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal out there, honestly.
Remember I checked your match history one day, and then I see 3 support games. I'm like, what are you doing, Curtis?
3-block. My 3-block was 3 support games. Yeah, look, so what I would say, and this is why nowadays you really have to, you actually got to take your secondary role seriously. That's why I made that video on my YouTube about secondary support. So I think it's good that you're playing AD carry. AD carry and support are the 2 best roles for mid laners to play secondary, so that's fine. But I would start to take it seriously. Well, seriously in the sense that, you don't need to get coaching for your secondary role, but what I would say, it's more, don't write it off as like, oh, okay, I'm secondary, I don't really need to try as hard. Like, no, you really got to, in a way, develop champ mastery on your secondary champ as well. Like, I aim to develop champ mastery on my bard when I play support. And I'm starting to now like actively review, because now I know what to look for from that video that I made with Cupcake. I'm actually starting to review my support games and actually take my support game seriously. And I never did that in the past. But given, like you said, Sage said, how often it happens to get secondary role, you just got to do it. And it sucks, but that's the advice I'd give, man. Take it seriously. Have 1 or 2 champs in your secondary role that you really try hard. And you're not going to be as good. You don't need to be to your mid standard, but you still got to take it pretty seriously.
Yeah. I still need to work on my support board.
Your support's shocking. You got to really
get rid of Braum.
You got to watch that Cupcake video and just pick up a new champ, honestly.
I'm thinking of Nautilus. What do you think?
Yeah, Nautilus can work. I think Leona would suit you.
I literally was just thinking that.
Leona would make sense. Leona and Nautilus were good for you.
All right, I'm going to practice Leona and Nautilus. All right, speaking of support, we got a question from Misk the Savior of NA. That's his name.
What? Misk?
Misk.
Misk.
Misk the Savior of NA is his name. The question here is a question from a support main. Hey guys, hope you're doing well. I'm writing to you guys again because with the upcoming off-season, I want to get back into the ranked mindset. As stated in the subject, I am a support main and I wanted to know what is the perfect support in your opinion. What do they do? How do they act? I'm in gold and next season my goal is to reach platinum. And I was also wondering if you guys could recommend a support coach. I appreciate you guys taking your time to answer my questions. Always look forward to the podcast.
So, it sounds like he has not watched my video. Misk, all of your questions will be answered in that video.
So you type in YouTube Coach Curtis, you go to videos.
My most recent video.
You look at the one with Cupcake.
It covers all the support fundamentals. I learned so much.
What are some key takeaways from you, Curtis, from that one?
Can
you explain about the Fog Warrior thing?
Yeah, so support is just 3 fundamentals. That's all it is. Champ mastery actually is not that important.
Interesting.
And it completely rocked my entire worldview. So I thought that in League, you just got to have a lot of champ mastery. No, it definitely it's a thing, but if you know the fundamentals of support, like those 3 things, you can actually play whatever. Like it actually does make sense. So basically the 3 fundamentals are waves, wing cons, and fog warring. Fog warring, well, the first one I'll start with waves. So every decision you make in lane, in support, in bot lane, is in reference to the waves. And what Cupcake, and the Cupcake was the guy I did it with, and he does coaching, and we talk about it in the video, so you can hit him up in that video. But waves is like the foundation of every decision. And because the lane is so long, and because of the brushes and everything gets dictated with waves. The waves dictate when you should roam, how long you should roam for, when you should reset, what sorts of trades you can take. It dictates everything. And when I implemented this active thought towards what's happening with the wave and my intention with waves, it allowed me to replicate good roams. And now I could look back at my old bard games like, oh, wow, yeah, that was a coin flip roam. And that's why I know why that's a bad roam. And why my AD carry died here. And like, I could see, okay, why I wasn't able to get a good reset, why I wasn't able to take good trades. Like everything tied back to waves. The second one was fog warring. So basically and this is something I learned a metric ton from Cupcake, is you really want to exert as much pressure as possible on the opponent by staying out of vision whenever you can. You don't want to be ever in a position like especially kind of post first base where you're making your movements very obvious. So one thing that like a very pragmatic thing was like positioning on like the top side of the lane so you're near the river rather than being in the brush. I would always like kind of default to like the brush because I thought that controlling the brush was important, but it's actually not.
Because they know you're there.
Yeah, so if you're on the top side, you can get into the river way sooner and you can just hover out of vision really easily with good quality pinks. So I actually don't know what you're doing. And I implemented this in one of my games, and then I versed one of the guys in the MLA, and the enemy bot lane was just spam pinging missing, and I was just sitting there in the brush, and he had to play scared mid, and I'm like being in two places at once essentially, which is really good. So that's fog worrying. And then the other one was win con assessment, which is kind of the same as every other one, like in mid lane and jungle, but knowing where to direct your attention in mid game, like who is your like the win con and where to be and where to roam, it just helps, and we go on that. So take a look at that video. It's very long, but pay attention if you take time. Like actually step through it. Like really listen to it.
Watch it a couple of times.
Like really watch it. Like take the time to watch it. Like sit down, mark out like 2 hours of your day. Like really watch it.
All right. Yeah, I don't really have any comments on that. You're the most expert on support because of what you just did. The video you did, like a 3-hour conversation. Next question here is from Artem. Title of this email, we've got more off-roll stuff in terms of our podcast. Mid-jungle. How do you even climb and improve as an ADC? Hello, Nathan Curtis. Thank you for your content. I wish there was something like you for ADC. I'm Lucky Gnome, and I was Diamond mid laner, but swapped to ADC, and now Hardstuck Platinum in EU West. I know you're not ADC coaches, but I have no one else to ask. How do you even climb and improve as ADC? Your main narrative is that I should review my games and fix mistakes, that I should focus on my first 15 minutes of the game. Specifically, Curtis says that Platinum is about learning matchups, but how can I learn matchups and fix my mistakes when I locked in the lane with an elo-inflated auto-field chimp in 7 out of 10 games?
Holy moly.
So we might already have some toxic invisible narratives around our support players.
Holy moly.
7 out of 10 games. That would mean that the enemy gets the good support 3 out of 10 games.
No, you mean he gets a good support 3 out of 10.
So he gets the 3 good support.
And then the enemy gets a good support 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
So
Riot
just doesn't like him?
Yeah, so Riot is specifically targeting
Artem. They got him on a list. He's on a list. He's on like a big whiteboard. Like he's one of the names there.
Artem is the center of the universe.
Yep. He's important, man. I actually have a few things on this one, Nathan.
Okay, already, but there's lots more than email. Yeah.
But that support video, it's the same for AD carry, minus the fog warring and the win cons.
Okay.
You are the win con and you're not going to roam. So AD carry, what I thought, and one thing I learned from that, a big one, was how massive waves are for AD carries. And what you do with the waves completely changes the game. Now, when we spoke about this in the sport video, and then when we were going through it, we're saying, what the hell is this AD carry doing? And we were able to see in the video how good, like what a good AD carry looks like in terms of wave management. And you can actually see how the waves completely change what you can do. So AD carry as well isn't about matchups either. That's what I've also learned.
Okay.
It's about you just pick a few AD carries. Obviously micro is a big part of it. Obviously micro and spacing and tethering, but wave management is a huge thing about AD carry. Because waves allows you to get like really good quality resets, quick tempo resets you get for free item advantage.
Yep.
Allows you to freeze waves. It allows you to get take much better trades because you have the minion advantage, the brush control. You can harass them under tower, make them miss CS. There's so many things you can do with waves. And then also when I was playing my SoloQ, I was like, what the hell is this AD carry doing? Now I can actually critique my AD carry because the biggest thing I saw was AD carry is always just shoving, mindlessly shoving. Just slow build. What are you doing? Even from level 1, a bad habit I had, and now I see in AD carries, and now I don't have, all you need to do is get a slight minion advantage. If you know you're going to get the shove, don't just kill the first 3 creeps. Like, just kill one of them slowly
build it up.
Because then you can stack 3 waves into a hardcore harass on the tower or stack 3 waves into a tempo reset.
Yeah.
And that changes the game. If you don't, you can only stack like 1.5 or 2 waves. then you can't go for a reset, and then you can barely poke under
Because
tower,
they can clear
and
the
then the
game
time is
for
all fucked, and you don't
Yeah.
get private scuttle.
Yeah.
It's a shit show. So waves change everything. So if I were him, I would go deep on looking at high elo, like looking at Viper, looking at the best AD carries in the world, and I'd look at like what they do with waves. That's what I would do.
Okay.
And how they position in the lane specifically. Lane positioning and waves.
I feel like you could learn that from any challenger on any server, though.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. Any challenger.
I don't think it's just pros.
Yep. But I think pros know it the best though.
Okay, yeah. That's
Like
right.
more than average AD carries.
That's true.
Because that's what they, And that also makes almost sense why like these high elo AD carries, like then they reliably climb. It's not just micro, it's like waves.
All right, so then he goes on to say, let's say I'm laning with Lulu against melee support. I know that we're supposed to push opponents in the first 3 levels and get some small advantages so we don't die to the all-ins later. This is what I see in challenger replays. This is what I'm trying to do. However, in my elo, Lulu won't auto-attack the wave. She won't harass or will do it wrong. She won't shield me. Instead, she will E-auto the opposing support. I'm really trying to get better and fix my mistakes, but I feel like it doesn't matter because ADC is not the one deciding anything during the laning phase. Even in 3 games where I'll get a good Lulu support, I'm still fucked because I'll automatically play too safely because I'm not used to good players. So he knows what to do, but he still won't be able to do it.
Seems like a
because he's
lot
not
of
used to it.
defense mechanisms here. A lot of shifting blame.
Yes, I can find myself a duo and climb with him, but you're saying that duoing is bad for improvement, and I completely agree with that. Last season, I duo with a support of my level. We went 18-2 and got into Diamond in 1 week. He played a lot of engaged champions like Leona, Thresh, or Alistar. I played Kayle and Misfortune. We just stomped the lane every game because he knew how to play the early game. Then we snowballed the map because I knew the mid-game macro. I've tried to replicate this with random SoloQ supports, but it's just impossible to achieve. I really like playing ADC in 5-man stacks or with the pre-made support, but I lose my mind playing ADC in SoloQ. Sadly, the only thing that matters in LoL is your solo queue rating, not clash wins or flex queue. Help me, please.
Well, I think he could definitely step it up and actually type if it's that important. If you know what you want to happen, like type it out. Say let's get shove level 1. Let's shove level 1, or something like that. And like he's always, by the sounds of things, like he's always acting as though like the enemy bot lane is just better. The enemy support's better, dude. If your support sucks, the enemy support sucks.
Yeah.
Like it's just your logic is fundamentally flawed.
Yeah, just think about what you're typing here. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make
even
sense.
Even the 7 out of 10. That's why we are sarcastic, because it's just so humorous to us the way that you.
That's why we're being sarcastic. We're being a bit of a dick here, but because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
If you are if you know how to play the waves and your micro is better than your opponent AD carry, you will win more than you lose. You might lose more in the short term because you're unlucky over 10 games, but over 50 games, over 100 games, you're going to win more than you lose, period.
Also, your support not doing what you want, that welcome to the game.
Yeah, it's the game.
You have to adapt. You like part of the skill of League of Legends and climbing is adapting to your teammates
exactly
messing up.
And their tendencies. You got to adapt to how are they playing it, Maybe because if they're hitting the wave too much, maybe you stop hitting the wave. Maybe if they're not hitting enough, you have to hit more than the wave. Maybe they're positioning wrong. You have to adapt your positioning. If he's not going to shield you, maybe you need to stand behind minions. I don't know. I'm sure there are many adaptations you can make. I think what's holding him back is his mindset. Like
100%.
He's not willing to adapt. He's stuck in his mind. He's like, I'm going to do this no matter what. And if they don't do what I want, we're just going to lose.
Well, the worst thing here is, and this is the danger of duo, and it sounds like he duo with a player that was way high elo to get to Diamond 4 that quickly, or was it Diamond?
Well, might
Diamond,
not even, because duo, if you find like someone you're on the same page with, I think it probably could work.
In the bot lane. Okay. The fact that you've got that and now you're there, think about the most easiest excuse you're always going to have is that I am in my, like you've actually defaulted yourself. It's actually incredibly difficult. That's why I say people that duo and people that get high elo and then go down, it's sometimes irrecoverable. Your league experience is ruined because it's almost irrecoverable to get back to the mindset of like, I'm my skill level. I'm like on my own journey. And I think I've had to kick someone out of SoloQ. I think, because he was addicted to duoing and he had so many narratives. I said, I can't help. Like, you got to see a psychologist to figure out your relation. You know what I mean? But like, this is just a gaming psychologist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is why it's so dangerous. Like, literally, your gaming experience is gone. Like, it sounds like it's finished for him. Like, I don't think this guy's helping.
Because Yeah, because in his mind, like he got to
It's
diamond with
at
a
a
duo.
subconscious level. Even if he's aware of it, it's subconsciously ingrained right
Yeah,
now.
he would have to have a significant mindset shift.
Yeah, it'll take years, I think.
It could take years. Yeah, I mean, it really depends on his personality. We don't know. Like he might. Okay, well, I said this to you, Nathan, off camera. I've had someone in the MLA that I thought was irrecoverable.
Yeah.
Like beyond help. Like done. I thought he was just going to quit in like a month. But he became one of my best clients.
Amazing.
And so that happened. He could be, he could make a
could
miraculous.
happen.
I mean, because I've seen it. It can happen because I've seen it.
That's great.
So who knows? But I think his name's Artem, right?
Yeah.
Dude, you got to you got to really give yourself a reality check. And the way I want you to view it is this, okay? I don't hate using this analogy, but just for the sake of it, given bot lane, you say, is dictated largely from supports, which that might be true, but it's the exact same for the enemy AD carry, so remember that. But the other thing, are you saying that if a master tier AD carry went to your rank, they wouldn't get back to master? There's obviously things that you're not doing that you got to do.
It's not even just about the lane. Like, if you have good CS and feel like you're like, let's say they're roaming, they're getting all these kills. Like, you can still be strong and win a team fight when the game.
Or he might be playing with support, like he support roams, and he then gets all in and died, like, and he'll blame his support. He's that sort of AD carry. I can guarantee you. Yeah. His support roams, even if the roam is bad, whatever, you got to adapt. Sometimes you might have to sacrifice 4 or 5 a wave. You might have to give a wave.
Yep.
It's better than dying.
Correct.
And then flaming your support and then making them play worse. Just say, hey, come back, and you don't abuse them. Like, he's obviously lacking. He's got a huge fucking ego. That's the biggest thing as well. He's got a huge ego. And he needs to give himself a reality check. And you're right, Nathan. By the sounds of things, he's probably not going to change. I hope he does, though. I hope he does.
So right into us, Artem, if you get some improvement. But again, it's rough. Again, he said he went 18 until he got diamond in 1 week. Just that one beautiful sentence. Yeah. He's trapped. Yep. He's trapped. Like, honestly.
Yeah. And it's always support. And the way he's talking about his supports and stuff, and like these over-exaggerating bad supports and all that. He's got to do therapy for a while. League therapy for a while.
So I mean, I don't think we can give any actual advice for the ADC itself. Apart from I
think the biggest advice is that, as harsh as it sounds, Artem, you're delusional.
We got to fix the mindset first.
Well, he's genuinely delusional.
Yeah, you're right.
It's hard to admit, and it's hard to come to terms with it, man.
Tough pill to swallow.
It's a very tough pill to swallow.
And guys, when you write in an email like this, like to us, with all these invisible areas and stuff, you guys got to know we're gonna absolutely tear this apart.
We're gonna.
You know what I mean? Because
we're gonna be brutal.
And the reason we're brutal here is because we've seen how damaging and how toxic the game can become for you, not just for League.
It's just for you. The impact it will have on you.
In your life as well. It's unbelievable. Like, these people destroy their relationships. These people, we've seen it. This is why we're so hard on it.
Yeah, because, and the thing is, we're harsh because they will continue to do this sometimes for years. I could save someone 3 years of pain and misery through the game by just roasting them sometimes.
And like telling them that you should actually quit the game.
Yeah. Well, the thing with him, we don't know. Like, I think he should have a crack and like listen to what we're trying to say here. Like, really try and listen. Like, you've got all these invisible narratives. You're shifting the blame too much. You're not adapting. You're not adapting to the chaotic nature of SoloQ. You've got a big ego. You've got expectations about how good you are. You haven't actually accepted that you are that rank of a player. You are that platinum player. You are a platinum AD carry. That's the thing fundamentally hasn't accepted.
The ranking system's very good at putting players at their skill level.
Yep.
All right. I think that's it for Mailbag today. Lots of roastings going on.
Yeah, it was a pretty intense session today.
We're going to have to cool down here.
I'm getting angrier by the episode.
By the episode. Curtis is going to be, this time next year, guys, it's going to be unbearable to listen to Curtis. You guys got to help me, okay?
We're just going to kill the BBC, honestly.
Yeah, we might not survive that long. We'll get cancelled by then. Yeah. All right, welcome
everyone. That's why we can't even monetize the BBC because we swear so much into this one. That's why there's no ads.
Yeah. Definitely not this episode, let's just say that. All right, I was going to say welcome everyone, but it's actually the end of our
The
episode.
end.
So
Okay.
good work, everyone. Let's
Good
keep on
work.
improving. Let's keep on fixing our invisible
Yep.
narratives, and we'll see you next time.
And think critically.
And think critically. That's the theme of
And
that podcast.
reflect.
And reflect. See you guys later.